Hi, I'm Chloe from calmeryou.com, and today I'm talking about panic attacks. So, I'm going to be talking about causes of panic attacks, what the symptoms are, what the experience is, and then what you can do about it. So, maybe you're somebody that is having panic attacks themselves, or maybe you're watching this because you know somebody who has been suffering with panic attacks, and this will just give you a bit more information about that. So I used to suffer with panic attacks, and I think I was probably about 15 when I had my first panic attack. And probably like a lot of people, um, because it's the first experience of that, you really have no idea what's going on. In fact, you're pretty sure you're going to die. So my heart was racing like crazy. I felt like I dissociated from my body, like I was outside of my body and I didn't know what was happening. And my chest tightened up because I was hyperventilating. And I was with my friend and I was begging her to take me to the hospital. And I was convinced that actually I was dying, that I was having a heart attack, and this was the end. So it's the most frightening thing that I've ever experienced. And when I talk to my clients that have had panic attacks, this is a really common thing, that you really actually think you're going to die because your body is producing all of these symptoms that you may not have experienced before. And a lot of people end up going to hospital because they're convinced that they're having a heart attack and they're going to die. And actually, the reality is, although it is extremely frightening and very scary feeling, the reality is that the symptoms of a panic attack are caused by adrenaline. And actually, it's our body's way of trying to protect us and trying to keep us safe because we somehow perceive that there is some kind of threat. And the adrenaline is causing this fight or flight response so that we can either fight the danger or we can run away and escape from it. So I didn't end up going to the hospital, and I managed to calm down after that first experience. But I did continue to have panic attacks for a couple of years after that because I didn't really get the help that I needed. I didn't really understand what was going on, what the triggers were. So, I mean, I definitely know what you're going through if that's what you're experiencing at the moment. It's absolutely the scariest thing ever. And I think if you're having panic attacks, actually, you're extremely brave and you've experienced one of the scariest things that can happen to a person. You know, thinking you're going to die, going into that horrible panic mode, and actually you've come through it. So you are extremely brave if that is something that you've been experiencing. So, as I said before, panic attacks may happen when we're perceiving some kind of threat and our bodies go into real sort of survival mode, fight or flight, and it's caused by adrenaline. It's trying to keep us safe. So, a few things that it's a good idea to remember about panic attacks is that it is just adrenaline, and as horrible as it feels and as frightening as it feels, actually it's not dangerous. You're not going to have a heart attack, although the feelings, your heart racing, struggling to breathe, although it feels dangerous, it's not actually dangerous for your body. So rest assured for that at least. It's caused by adrenaline and the feeling will pass. Try and remember that when you're experiencing a panic attack, that the feeling will pass, it will ride out, and it will stop at some point. It's not a permanent state that you're going to be in. Now, what often happens when we're having a panic attack is that we think we've got to make it stop. We've got to calm down. We've got to either escape from the situation or, run outside, get out of the meeting room. We've got to calm down, got to take deep breaths, must relax, and putting that kind of pressure on ourselves and try and forcing ourselves to do that actually has the opposite effect. Because whenever we really resist something and try and calm down, that's almost when it's much harder to do that. Have you ever heard of the phrase, what we resist persists? This is a good example of that. So as much as you can, if you're having a panic attack, try just to make some peace with it. I know that might sound like the hardest thing in the world, but trying to make peace with it and reminding yourself it's just adrenaline, this feeling's going to pass, and rather than resisting it, just saying to yourself and trying to accept, I'm having a panic attack, but this feeling's not going to last, and I'm going to be okay. It's not going to actually hurt me. Another thing that you can do in that moment is, when we're having a panic attack, our attention is very focused inwards. We're really preoccupied with our own swimming thoughts, the physical sensations, the panic. And actually what can be helpful is to try to sort of direct our attention outwards by engaging with our surroundings. So I remember when I had my first panic attack, I called, there's a helpline in the UK, or there was sort of at this time, called NHS Direct. And I was talking to someone on the phone, and they were trying to engage me in conversation and ask me questions about Glastonbury Festival that I was going to go to that year, and really trying to distract me away from the physical sensations that I was experiencing. So some kind of distraction, whether it's, you know, engaging a conversation with somebody, or really focusing your attention outwards, looking at the things that are around you, paying attention to your surroundings rather than focusing inwards, can be a really helpful thing to do. And finally, as much as you can, when we're panicked, often we will be very tense and resisting what's happening and trying to escape it. And as much as you can, trying to relax your muscles and focusing on relaxing your body and trying to do that. And it's often said that we should try to float with a feeling of anxiety. So I don't know if you can imagine how to do that, a sense of floating, of letting go, relaxing your muscles as much as possible. So that even if kind of mentally you're still freaking out, at least physically you're focusing and concentrating on trying to relax the tension in your body. So I want you to know that if you're having panic attacks at the moment, you're definitely not alone. This does affect a lot of people. It's not a permanent affliction, and many people do get better and make a lot of progress. So I'd love to know in the comments anything you have to say about panic attacks. Have you experienced them? Do you have any tips for coping with panic attacks? Please subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, and visit calmeryou.com and I'll send you a free relaxation MP3. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.